What we tend to say is that you've got content, you just don't know how to create it or repurpose it. I think the trouble with programmatic and native right from the start, from the beginning, has been the creative. Programmatic tends to kind of be, when you get a programmatic asset, you tend to be sort of an afterthought. And these guys could probably attest to that. It's the degrees of separation from the creative strategy, or like, I've got a campaign and I want to do this. The creative gets done, the campaign gets done, and we've seen someone already talk about it in terms of video being repurposed for mobile. It's going to be the same for native. But the sophistication of the advertiser in terms of programmatic will determine, I think, why they think they should be doing programmatic. People that some advertisers just want to do programmatic for the sake of it. Like, oh, I want to do it because it's cool and it's new, and I'll get to get some more budget from it. I think the most sophisticated advertisers don't even think about brand and DR and performance anymore as separate things. They just see, I've got a big pot of money and I need to engage some users. How do I do that? It's not just execution, it's about planning, it's about measurement, it's about seeing how effective that was. And if they do native anyway, then that should of course be done programmatically, and they get all the benefits.
Yeah, it's like a customer-centric view, so thinking about how to reach your audience in the right kind of context or in the right format. And so that's how we think at Yahoo. It's customer-centric, sort of device and format agnostic, and native is, goes really well with mobile as a way to sort of reach your audiences where they're consuming content on a mobile device. And native just lends itself well to that user experience.
So those of you that don't know TEEDS, they were acquired yesterday. The video experience is mid-article, the article expands. There's not necessarily context to that video, and I would argue that my mom probably thinks that video is related to the article. Would you consider that native if we're going to start labeling things?
I think in the broadest sense of the word, it is from a brand perspective, because I think when we're talking to brands, we don't need to kind of overcomplicate the space and say, oh, this is native, this isn't native. We kind of need to keep it relatively simple, and that's not a case of dumbing it down, but brands don't want to be confused by having millions of different channels. So I think in the broader sense of the word, yes it is, but does it dynamically optimise the content? No. Does it have sophisticated labelling as we can deliver through programmatic native? No. So I would say it's broadly, but it doesn't have all of the benefits of other forms of pure native.
I think you heard it here first. I think this is the year of native. I think this is like suddenly we're looking to sort of get more programmatic supply or get more native supply. I think, as I agree with Dan, that getting big mainstream publishers, just like we did 5-6 years ago with programmatic through exchanges, to start thinking about how they monetize through native ad formats, specifically on mobile, is really kind of creating that groundswell. And so a lot of the agencies and the advertisers we talk to, again, admittedly, they have their own concerns about who books it, but it's a hot topic right now. And I think this is the year where it can become quite mainstream.
I think in terms of kind of growth from an agency perspective, what I'd say is that obviously investment follows performance, and we've seen some great successes actually using the Yahoo product incidentally for some of our clients in terms of effectiveness of driving traffic. I think once you are able to build up those case studies, it leads to much more investment. So I think as a business, what we're focused on is how can we identify those sweet spots and start to grow spend, because it's still very much proving to clients that it works, and then growing the strategy from there. The client I was thinking of, it's all about hitting an in-market audience. For others, it's much more about driving a sort of brand engagement. So we certainly don't have a one-size-fits-all measure for native. We measure it back to what's the client trying to achieve. And I think measurements come up a lot at AWEerope this week, because it is a massive challenge between measurement between different channels and different platforms, in which a view is measured differently and so on and so forth. So I think what we're seeing, which I'm sure is indicative of the market as a whole, is a move towards sort of greater third-party measurement. So whether that's the use of brand uplift studies or third-party research, that's a sort of a trend that I think we'll see continue.